Hello everyone and welcome to another pregnancy yoga class. So we're going to kick off today with some updates from you. Great news, Katrina just sent a very quick message saying that she'd had her baby. Everything went well. She did have to have a C-section, but yeah, all fine, and she sends lots of love. We had Abby and Hayley, we had news from them as well, and last night, obviously not last night for you, probably if you're watching this, but last night in my world we had a positive birth movement Zoom meeting, which we're doing every couple of weeks. So that's the Whitstable branch of the positive birth movement. So if you want to have a look online, have a look up on Facebook for that to find out when the next one is. But it's really lovely because it means I get to see you in person. So I got to see both Abby and Hayley and their new babies. So Abby was there and she'd had baby Ivy. I've got a message from her, I'll read you in a moment. And Hayley was there with baby Monty, so a little boy and a little girl. Yeah, wonderful. It was just great to see you ladies, and thank you. So Hayley's going to send us her story shortly, I hope, when she's got time. Of course, she's busy with the baby at the moment. And Abby has sent us this little message. So she says, thanks Liz, she's here. Little Ivy Olive arrived on her due date. So good girl already there. A date on the 5th of May, and she weighed 6 pounds 8 ounces. Had the most wonderful natural water birth after a very long 53 hours with no tearing. My yoga and breathing really came in handy. Kept active and moving throughout, and felt really in control of my body as she was born, which prevented the tearing. Spent lots of time resting in child's pose, as was pretty exhausted as you can imagine. Not the home birth I'd longed for, and I think this is why it took so long, as I had a hard time adjusting to the idea of leaving home. But the girls at the midwife-led unit at Ashford were amazing, and I had my husband with me all the time, which wasn't what I was expecting. Not having visitors has actually been wonderful, and we've had meals dropped at our doorstep every day by friends, so we're having lots of time to adjust, rest and learn to feed. She sends lots of love to everybody, wishing you all well, and yeah, as I said, it was lovely to see her last night. She looked really well, and gorgeous baby. It's so lovely to see the little babies. You kind of lose sight of what it's all about when I'm not seeing you. So to catch up on Zoom is great. Abby's story leads us quite nicely there into our top tips for labour. We're on P. Positive thinking is under P. And it's really important, isn't it, particularly in this time, to keep thinking positive. I think there were hints in just that little text there that there were things that maybe she was worried about, Abby was worried about. She was surprised that she got to have her husband with her. She was worried about the whole thing of going into hospital. So to keep positive, and I think part of keeping positive is really keeping informed, asking lots of questions, so that any fears and niggles that you've got, you know, we know what our brain's like, especially 3 o'clock in the morning, how it kind of blows things up and, you know, eats away at you, this little voice. And often we can knock those fears on the head really by actually finding out the facts. So lots of positive thinking, lots of finding out the facts, and, you know, questioning. You are allowed to question everything. P is also primitive brain. So it's that, you know, we talk about this a lot in class, don't we? It's that part of the brain back here, which I like to think of as our kind of cave woman part of the brain, the bit that really governs all our instinctive nature, and it's the part of our brain that we want to let take over when we're in labour. So the primitive brain is really important, but it does often get taken over by the front, sort of the logical brain at the front here that we'll answer the questions, we'll, boss everybody about, tell our husband, where the car keys are and he's not driving fast enough, or he's got the wrong car park at the hospital, all that sort of thing. So do allow yourself, start to train yourself really to switch off that front part of the brain and let the primitive brain kick in. But of course, that's easier said than done. And if we're worried about the situation at the moment, if we feel that we're not fully informed of what it's going to be like, then that front of the brain again starts to kind of leap into action, starts to get busy, and the primitive brain will then start to stop and slow down. So again, it all comes back to the same thing. Ask lots of questions, be fully informed, do that run to the hospital, know where, the door is to the labour ward, etc., or the midwife-led unit, know where you're going. Put as much in place as you possibly can. Of course, we can never know everything about every scenario, but I think the more familiar with everything you are, the more you can feel maybe in control. And start to relax. So that was very interesting in Abby's text, because she said she had been hoping for a home birth. Got the feeling there that she wasn't so comfortable going into the hospital environment, or didn't think she would be, and then was really pleasantly surprised by how wonderful the nurses were at Ashford midwife-led unit. So yeah, often our fears are worse than the reality, aren't they? So thank you so much, Abby, for just that text. There's a lot there for us to think about. So P is positive brain, positive thinking, primitive brain, and if we just let Q sneak in there, because it really does link in, is Q for questioning. So questioning all the time, questioning about everything through your pregnancy. As many questions as you can about your labour, what it's going to be like, and afterwards as well. In the Zoom chat this week, we were talking about the 4th trimester. We were talking about after you've had your baby, and lovely there, Abby saying that it was actually really nice not to have lots of guests, but great to have the deliveries of food on her doorstep. So questioning maybe what it's going to be like for you once you bring baby home. What have you got set in place? How can people help without interfering? So plenty to think about there, and I think it's probably time to get on with some yoga. Okay. So today you're going to need a chair and just enough space around you. Check you've got enough space to take the arms out and you're not going to be hitting yourself. So let's start just by coming to stand in Tadasana, in mountain pose, and just checking through our body, checking how we're feeling today. So if you're comfortable too, just closing the eyes as you start to roll the shoulders back and down, encouraging a bit of space around the neck. Maybe tucking the chin under, just lengthening through the back of the neck, lifting the sternum. Softening once more, a little bit more into the shoulders, maybe drawing the fingertips down the sides of the body to encourage those shoulders away from the ears. Noticing maybe whether your baby's awake or asleep. And then just noticing your connection with the ground, maybe lifting and separating the toes, just fanning them out. Just being conscious of that connection, as if you were growing roots into the ground. And from those roots you're growing tall all the way into the crown of the head. Let's maybe just start the class by sending a little smile down to our babies. As I said, it was so lovely to see baby Ivy and Monty. Just having a moment to appreciate what your body's doing for you, the amazing job, a miracle really of what's happening within you at the moment, and that power, that strength that you undoubtedly have. Just got to tap into it. Bit of self-belief we all need, don't we? Particularly maybe at the moment. So give the fingers, toes a little wriggle, just softening the knees slowly. Opening the eyes, but keeping the gaze nice and soft. And then maybe just stepping one foot out slightly so the feet are more underneath the hips if they weren't already. Placing your hand on the back of the chair for a little bit of balance if you need. And we're just going to rise with the breath onto the toes. And as we exhale, we're coming gently down. So if you're feeling a bit more balanced, you can always have hands in Namaste in front of the chest so that you feel that as you inhale, you're lifting. And exhale, slowly coming down. So the sternum and the chest is lifting towards the hands. We're lovely and open through the front of the body. And the shoulders are relaxing back and down. And you're just following your breath. So don't worry if you're not coming up and down at the same time as me. I want you to be true to your breath. So exhaling as you come down, inhaling as you come up. Once more, inhale to come up, and exhale to come down. And you can release the hands, turning round towards your chair now. Or you can always use a little bit of wall, you can use the back of the sofa, you can use your mantelpiece, doesn't really matter. We're just resting the hands on something, taking the feet a little bit wider now. So take them out, if you've got a mat on the floor, you can kind of measure that as wide as the mat. And we're going to take a couple more lifts up into the toes. So just getting that rocking movement as you inhale, you're coming up. As you exhale, you're coming down. And then next time we come down, we're just going to bend the knees a little bit. So we're exhaling in a little bit of a squat. And we're inhaling, coming up and onto the toes. Exhaling, heels down, bending the knees. Try and keep the body upright. Inhale, coming up on the toes, relax the shoulders. Exhale, heels to the floor, just coming down a little bit into that squat. Inhale, pressing into the balls of the feet to lift the body. And exhale down. Lovely. So you can just move your chair to the side for a moment. Maybe if you've got a brick that you sit on, or a rolled up mat, just anything that's going to give you a little bit of a lift behind. We're going to sit our bottom on there. And take our sitting bones and just draw the flesh away. So we're drawing the flesh of the bottom out behind us, just helping you sit nice and tall. Now you can have the legs extended away in front of you, or you can sit cross-legged for this one. Really doesn't matter. In fact, I'm just going to sit side on to the camera so you can see this next little flow, movement and breath. So once you've found your comfortable position and you're lengthening and lifting through the spine and you're relaxing the shoulders back and down, just watch me for a moment. We're going to take a breath in there. And as we exhale, we're going to drop the chin to the chest, roll the shoulders in, push into a bit of a rounded back as you exhale. Inhale, we're lifting and opening. Exhale, letting everything roll over, curling in joining me when you're ready. Inhale to open the body. And exhale, giving your baby a big hug, and that can help to push that exhale all the way out to the end. Inhale, we're opening, lovely big deep breath in, filling the body. Exhale, hugging your baby, really emptying that breath out as much as you can. Inhale, lifting and opening. Exhale, dropping in. Lengthening through the back of the neck as you drop the chin to the chest. And then just coming to sit comfortably once more. So from here we're going to come into a little bit of a twist. So if you had the legs extended away, just bringing them into a cross leg now, just a loose, comfortable cross-legged position for you, Sukhasana. And just notice which leg is in front. So we're going to turn in the direction of the leg that's in front. So we're going to take the hand or the arm that matches that leg behind us. Possibly, you can see actually, because I'm sitting side on, but it's nice to maybe have a little bit of support, so a little bit of height under that back hand. If I lean my hand back onto the floor, you can see that I'm leaning, I'm collapsing back. So to keep my spine nice and upright, particularly as I'm sitting on a little bit of a bolster here, it's good to have that height behind me as well. So I'm taking my hand onto there. Same hand that matches that front leg as I begin to turn, and I'm taking the opposite hand across that thigh. So I'm inhaling to sit tall, exhaling just a couple of breaths into that twist. And I'm going to inhale back to centre. I'm just going to slowly and carefully change across the legs. Find that height once more. And then again, the hand that matches the leg that's now in front, the other leg, we're taking that away behind. I'm going to use my support to help me sit lovely and tall. Opposite hands coming across the opposite thigh now. I'm sitting tall as I inhale, exhaling as I turn. Now obviously as your bump is getting bigger, you're going to find that you're unable to turn quite so far, and you might even think, well, what's the point of this? But internally you're getting a lovely massage out. Twists are really good for the digestive system. Exhaling and inhale back to centre. Slowly bringing those knees in. I'm going to take myself over to the side and just slowly coming up. So you could do this next one sitting on the floor or standing or sitting on your chair. I'm going to sit on the chair, and I might just come a little bit closer for this one so you can see a bit better. We're going to work into Garuda arms. So nice stretch across the shoulders. I'm going to inhale and just bring both hands forward. Okay, and I'm going to bring that left arm in, so the palm's facing upwards, and I'm bending at the elbow, so now that palm is coming towards my head, and I'm lifting the inside crease of that elbow up to jaw level if you can. Opposite hand's going to come under and wind around, and then I'm lifting at the elbows, and you can start to feel that through the back of the shoulders. So keep relaxing and softening those shoulder blades back and down. Don't allow the hands to come into the head, keeping those forearms parallel to the face if you can. One more breath there. And then we're slowly releasing. Have a little roll out in the shoulders. Now, for some people it's quite difficult to get that twist through the arms, so if that's just not for you at the moment, you can always bring the arm up in front and you're just drawing across with the opposite hand. Okay, so I've just got my hand against the side of the upper arm there and I'm just drawing it across to get that stretch. Okay, so other side. Right arm coming in this time, palms up, we're bending at the elbow, lifting in line with the jaw if you can, and then just taking that opposite arm under and around. So you might come palm to palm or fingers to palm as I am. What you don't want to ever do is be holding on to that thumb joint. And then we're starting to lift and relax those shoulders back and down. Now it can be really different one side to the other, this posture, so don't forget just that slightly easier option I just showed you, because maybe you can do this on one side and then it's just not right for you on the other side. So listening to your body all the time. So finding that space through the torso. Just checking that you're not over flaring through the front of the ribs, so just drawing those back towards the spine a little bit, feeling that lovely stretch. It's like a massage, I think, this one. Across the back of the shoulders. And then slowly releasing. Just rolling the shoulders out. And again, just sitting comfortably. So you might be sitting on the floor or on your chair or on your birth ball. Finding that straight, upright back, those relaxed shoulders, and just softening the hands, back of the hands, onto your thighs or around your baby, and just closing your eyes for a moment. And just coming to focus on the breath. So maybe paying just a little more attention to that exhale. Noticing the length of your out breath. And without forcing it, maybe just by noticing it, you can extend it a little bit more by simply giving yourself the time to breathe out all the way to the end. So lovely soft lips. As if you're just blowing a ribbon of colour ahead of you. Following that out breath right to the very end. And then just noticing how that in-breath comes rushing in to fill the space you've created by breathing out. So notice if this brings any tension into your body. It's the last thing we want to do. So, if you feel that happening, either trying to relax, if it's the shoulders or the jaw, or just coming back to a normal breath for a moment. You can repeat this. It's the beauty of this being on YouTube, if you like. You can repeat it and try again at a moment that's more suitable for you. A lovely time I find to practice my breathing is in that moment, just before I'm going to sleep. Just focusing in that quietness on that exhale. Noticing how that inhale comes rushing in. Don't have to work at that at all. All the effort is just on breathing out, just noticing that breath out. And if you do have trouble on going back to sleep, when you've had to get up in the night, as you pregnant ladies have to, this is a great way. It's equivalent to counting sheep, really, just following the breath, giving the mind something to do, so it doesn't start to get over busy, which is what we talked a little bit about earlier, isn't it? Get busy worrying. The mind likes to have something to do, so focusing on the breath is a great way of kind of tricking it into having something to do, but not worrying. And yeah, it's quite a great quite a great way of just sending you back to sleep. So a few more nice big deep breaths that just soften and relax through the body. You can maybe think about all the lovely oxygen that's travelling down to your baby. How they're noticing that calmness that comes with that extended breath. They're listening to your heartbeats, they're listening to the rhythm of your breath, the noises of your body. And then just coming back to a more normal, relaxed breath for you. And then we're just going to allow the weight of the head to draw the chin down to the chest. So letting go of the weight of the head, chin dropping in. And then we're slowly going to roll that left ear around to the left shoulder. And really focus on letting go and hanging the head there. And then think about the shoulders. So the shoulders crept up to meet the head. Really relax those shoulders. Make the arms feel really heavy and soft all the way down to the wrists and the palms. And feel that strong stretch now down the right side of the neck. Those long muscles that work so hard to hold the head up all the time. Sternocleidoid mustroid muscles, the scales underneath, you're just releasing and softening them. And that softness is travelling all the way down to that shoulder, down the arm. The more you can relax through that right shoulder and arm, the stronger the stretch. And then we're very slowly going to roll the head, keeping the chin tucked in, round back to centre. And around to that right side. So just taking it really slowly. As I come round to this side now, it feels quite different. I can feel a bit of a twinge there, so I'm working with the breath to just soften and relax the shoulders. Sometimes it's the way we've slept, isn't it? Or maybe the way we've been leaning over the computer or reading a book, or just the way we hold ourselves. So quite different one side to the other. Keep relaxing and softening now through that left arm and shoulder. Getting that stretch down the left side of the neck. All the way out to the top of the shoulder. And then slowly rolling the chin back round to centre. Chin to chest. Letting it hang there. Maybe noticing if it's hanging a little bit heavier now. And then very slowly, just bringing the head up. So slowly as you can, you're going to sit your skull on the top of your spine there. And then if the eyes are still closed, just very slowly open the eyes. Coming back into the room. Okay, so making sure that you're not feeling dizzy or too spaced out after that lovely breathing and relaxing. We're going to come up to standing and we're going to bring our chair back so that we've got we've got the seat of the chair facing us. I'm going to clear these bits and pieces out the way. Come into a bit of a stretch for the back of the legs now. So for those screaming hamstrings, which definitely get tighter the more we're sitting, don't they? That simple bend in the knee means they begin to tighten and shorten, if you like, if you think about it in those terms, so that as we lengthen the leg away, we really feel that stretch. It's not always sitting though, often it can be cycling. I don't imagine you're doing a lot of cycling now, you never know. Yeah, cycling and running, again, probably not doing a lot of that now. But you know, this is a really good one for your partners, for your friends, anyone you know who does that sort of exercise tends to shorten the hamstrings as well. So a lovely stretch out for that area. So we're facing the seat of our chair and we're just going to take a small step forward. So you still want a little bit of gap between your front foot and your chair, but you don't want too long a stride. And you want to make sure that you've got space between the feet. So if you imagine that there's a line down your mat, you've got foot one side and the other, so that you're feeling really balanced. So stretch out those toes and fan them out and push them down into the mat. Think about lifting those inner arches. So we're activating from the feet all the way up. Lift through the front of those thigh muscles. So try not to, particularly if you're a little bit more bendy, a little bit more supple, don't push and lock the knees back. So although we've got straight legs for this one, I don't want you to take tension into the knees. What we really want to do is draw up through the front of the thighs. We're lifting the chest. Everything is about creating space, so we're creating a little bit more space up through the body. I know space is probably something you don't feel you've got a lot at the moment if your baby's getting quite big. So, you know, even more reason that we want to just try and find a little bit more strength for ourselves there. We're going to take the hands onto the hips, relax those shoulders back and down. We're going to take a nice big deep breath in, and then as you breathe out, we're just going to start to bend at the hips, slowly coming forward, and then you can take your hands onto your chair. So we're using the chair as support, and we're using it to help us to really keep a straight spine and extend through the front of the chest. So what we don't want is to come down and just start to curve through the spine and get all crunched up around the shoulders. We want to be lengthening and stretching out. So this position is lovely when you're pregnant because you can take that weight away from the spine. So any four bends using the chair really help to alleviate back pain. But, you know, you might be feeling this quite strongly through the hamstrings. So only stay here as long as it's comfortable for you. Now, I've noticed from watching my videos that in positions like this, I often have my head, I have to say, in the wrong position because I'm aware of talking to you. What I should be doing, and what I'd like you to do, is really think about the length in the back of the neck being part of the spine, so you're looking down towards the seat of your chair. As soon as I do this, I'm really crunching up in the back of the neck. So lengthening the whole of the spine, from the tailbone, through the lumbar, the thoracic back, between the shoulder blades and up into the neck. To the crown of the head really. Lovely long spine, lovely deep breaths. And just then think about taking, so I've got my right leg forward here, but whatever leg is forward for you, think about just taking that hip back slightly. Might increase that stretch. And then we're going to inhale, pushing into the feet slowly, coming up. Okay, stepping back, we're going to work on the opposite side now. So other foot coming forward, it's getting your distance, getting the distance from side to side so that you're not so you don't feel like you're standing on a tightrope and you're feeling balanced. Lift and separate those toes. Think about that connection with the floor. That's so important. Everything, all that energy is coming up from the floor. So we're lifting the inner arches and we're working into the front of those thighs, finding that length through the spine by lifting in the sternum and relaxing the shoulders back and down. Taking a deep breath in, and then again as you exhale, we're coming forward, hands onto that chair as you need to, thinking about the length, thinking about the length right through into the back of the neck, so have your gaze down towards the seat of the chair. And again, just keeping an eye on that hip of the front leg. So just drawing that back a little bit. What it likes to do, the body always likes to make things slightly easier for us. You know, we don't consciously tell it to, but it's very clever. And the tendency is to roll through the hips a little bit. So that hip of the foot that's in front tends to roll round and forward. So we're just drawing it back. We're keeping the hips in line. And you'll probably notice it's a stronger stretch than through the hamstring on that front leg. So your baby's hanging in its hammock. All that weight's away from the spine, and you can just take a few lovely, long, lengthening breaths. And then, being aware of your contact, the feet to the floor, you're pushing into the soles of the feet as you inhale and slowly come up. Very nice. So just stepping back, having a little paddle out, taking the hands onto the hips, just drop into the knees a little bit, so just having nice soft knees, and we're just going to have a little figure of eights or a circle, just rolling out that lower back, easing away any tension. So try and do this one a few times through the day. Yeah, just let it become a bit of a habit every time you put the kettle on, or standing up waiting for the beans to boil. Just have a little roll up. Really help to ease your lower back. And then we're going to get ready to relax. So you might want to gather a few extra blankets, cushions, etc. to make yourself comfortable for relaxation. As we've got the chair here today, you could maybe think about a different way, rather than lying down on the floor or leaning over your ball. You could maybe make yourself comfortable in that kneeling position by having a bit of extra support between the heels and the bottom. Just stops that cutting off of circulation into the back of the knees. And then you can use the chair to come over, so we can take our knees nice and wide, so you've got plenty of room for your baby as you fold over your chair. And we can take the hands onto the chair, so you could put a cushion or a blanket maybe onto there, and just relaxing forward in whatever way is good for you. So it's worth trying out a few different positions to get used to different ideas of what might be comfortable in labour as well. You might prefer not to sit back on the heels, but to take the legs wide around the chair. You might have your birth ball in front of you. Again, use a blanket maybe over that birth ball so it's not just sticky plastic. Just make it nice and comfy. It's nice if things smell as well, of your smell. Might sound a little bit odd, but particularly if you're going to hospital, if you've got a blanket or a cover that smells of home, it really helps to shut down the mind, get back to closing your eyes, imagining you're in your cave at home rather than the hospital. So getting nice and comfy in whatever way suits you. I'm obviously going to sit up so you can hear me, but if you're over your chair, just having your head in line with your neck, just relaxing, feeling the weight of your baby softening forward away from the spine again, closing the eyes and just connecting with that breath. So once again, just focusing on the exhale, just tracing the length of your out breath and using that to maybe soften and relax through the body. So noticing any areas you might be holding a little bit of tension, Noticing if you're uncomfortable, maybe you want to change what position you're in. So do shuffle about, make sure you're really relaxed, and then you can begin to soften the face, relaxing the forehead, the temples and the cheeks. Soften all around the lips and relax the jaw. Just using the breath as a tool to stop the mind wandering. So any little worries you've got, just putting them to one side and giving the mind the job of just following the breath. The mind likes to have something to do, doesn't it? So give it that job just to follow the inhale and exhale. And it's a relaxed breath now, you're not putting too much effort into it, but you're just following that journey through the nostrils, down to your lungs, and back out again, a lovely soft exhale. So relaxing the shoulders, softening down either side of the spine. Letting go of any tension you might be holding in the buttocks or the thighs. Allow them to become really heavy and soft, relaxed. Softening all the way down to the ankles and into the feet. Relax the toes. Each time you inhale, maybe you can imagine that breath travelling all the way down to your baby. Breath full of love, wrapping around your baby like a warm blanket. And your baby's listening to your breath, to a lovely slow, long, relaxed breath. Listening to your heartbeats, feeling loved, safe and secure. Just enjoying this time, special connection you have with your baby. Appreciating the amazing job that your body's doing, creating this little person. Just a couple more breaths there. And then slowly beginning to take a few deeper breaths. Notice how your body feels. Notice how your head feels, your mind. And slowly bringing a little movement to your fingers or your toes. Taking a few longer, deeper breaths as you begin to uncurl, unfold, stretch out. Just doing whatever feels comfortable for you. We slowly bring ourselves up. Don't worry about your chair, don't worry about moving too dramatically. Just sitting tall through the spine. I'm going to bring the hands together in prayer position in Namaste in front of the heart. And we're lifting the heart towards the hands. And then we're going to inhale, stretch all the way up. As you exhale, take the arms wide and out and down. Then we're just going to come back opposite direction with the breath in, stretching up. And exhale to your heart. Namaste. Peace and love to you all.